Brush painting as an underpainting and taking that into oil painting, and it is really an amazing technique which I'm very happy to share with you all. So let's see, I don't see anybody yet, but I know people will, especially the UK peeps will come by, that's for sure. So I'm just waiting for my UK friends. I know that's going to happen very shortly. So right now I'm just mixing my colors, and so orange, and let's see, so we have orange and a light gray. So I'm going to mix my light gray and my orange. And let's make sure I have the right gray. I do. And that is almost like a pure orange. So we will start coming in. Hey, what's up there, Bobby? Great to see you on this late evening. How are you today, sir? So glad you're here. Great to see you. And so what we're doing today, Bobby, is we're coming in with the long-awaited oil paints. And right now I'm just kind of hitting in some of these lights here, right here on her clavicle, right there. So we're just kind of putting in the lights of the clavicle. I'm making sure that I keep my colors clean, Bobby. That's so important when painting in oils, because the last thing you want to do is you don't want to have your colors be very muddy, very dark, right? That's something that you always want to fight against. So I'm just kind of blocking in, and as you can see, oh, so trying to edit videos. Oh, so what program are you working with, sir? It's all about the program, right? So let me know what program you're working with. And I'm just going to continue with this one value in color. Let's bring this down here like so. Kind of working these two colors back and forth. Hey Paul, how's it going? Great to see you all the way from Indianapolis. How's everything, sir? So glad to see you. So glad you're here. Gonna bring in the combination of these two values right here. And so it's great to see you, Paul, as always. And thank you for the wonderful, encouraging comment. I appreciate you. That's a little bit of a dull color, so I'm going to come back up the saturation a little bit. It's a lot easier to kill a saturation than to add saturation to, you know, a grayed out color. So that's something that we always got to be careful. Oh, Adobe Master Suite, so have Premiere Pro, but something easier. Very cool. And what do I use Pinnacle Studio only because I started using it back in 2006, 2007, and I just pretty much upgraded each month, each year. So kind of got stuck in that kind of environment. I'm not saying it's the best program, but it's what I know. The important thing is to find a program that you really know. That's like really key. I find very important to have that kind of program that you know really well. And so glad you're doing well. That's great to hear. And as you can see, I'm just going to continue working on the lights and darks here. Now, in the past, I might have just went over it with the light but I want to keep the colors really clean. So I'm actually going to kind of map out those colors. That's important. But you can see how the airbrush underpainting is really helping me, right? That's what we want to do, is to make sure that the underpainting is relevant, you know, and I really feel it is. And then you can see I'm going to bring in this darker color here. And they're very much related, these colors, but they're not necessarily the same hue. But as far as saturation and everything, they're very close. And what camera do I use for the lives? I have a Canon SL3, that's the overhead. And then I have a Logitech, I think it's a 930. And I use them in conjunction with one another, and it's really very good. My opinion when it comes to live streaming is keep it simple and less moving parts, and that is going to make your life so much easier. The less moving parts, less things can go wrong, and simple, you know? I mean, I just had a last minute inspiration to do this live stream. It took me like a couple of minutes to set it up. It was that simple, you know, just a couple of minutes. And so you can see right now I'm just kind of modeling the forms, you know, of the clavicle, her breasts, that sort of thing. Just going back and forth, guys. And then I could kind of blend them together here. See, the great thing about oils is you have like this incredible pinpoint control. Well, for my classes, I use the same cameras, but I use a program called Google. It used to be called Google Classroom, so now it's something else, but it really is great. I'm able to have up to 150 students at one time, but I just had a group class tonight that had 6 people. So from my students, we went over my color theory method. So one of the things that I offer my students is I give bonus classes during the week. Usually on a Friday, we go over everything from anatomy to color theory, stuff like that, which is really great. You know, it's like an added benefit for, you know, my classes. If I come up with something new, some new technique, I'll definitely share it with the class as a group, which is really great and also creates a very good community with my students, you know, among themselves, which is really important for me, to me. And it's not really a monochromatic. It kind of appears that way, but it isn't. This painting, because there are different hues. And it's great because even initial laying in, I can really go in there and, you know, start to do really intricate light and dark patterns. So my classes, the mentorship classes, are one-on-one, and then I offer a group class which is free to my students, so they don't pay extra for it, which is amazing. I mean, I think I'm the only one who does that. where usually once a week I'll have a group class, and not every week. Sometimes, I'm unable to do it, but definitely lots of group classes during the year, which is really great. And let's see, now I'm going to come in with the dark. So I'm going to look and see what hue saturation I have with that dark here. So right now I'm just basically looking at the main color. So that is a red, and the gray is probably like a number 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix that up right now. Almost a 50-50. And then we'll go ahead and see about coming in with that dark here. Let's see. And it's not really that much of a dark. If you mix it, it's not that dark. But it is dark in the painting because it's next to a light color. And, oh, thank you. Yeah, I love my students, I appreciate them so much, so I can never give enough to them, my students' development I take personal. And you see how I come in with the dark of that collarbone, and then I'm going to use that same dark, which is really a mid-tone in red, but, we can, if we're not careful, put it in as a black, so we have to be very careful. And Bobby says he's waiting on his camera to come in so he can sign up for the mentorship class. Oh, that's great. Oh, no, take your time. Definitely no rush. No pressure sales here, Bobby. You take your time. When you're ready, I'll be looking forward to it greatly. And right here we have this dark. And like I said, when you really start seeing color for what it is, things really open up, like the veil is lifted. There we go. And when you work in oils, it really helps your airbrush, and vice versa. So that's really exciting. And just very lightly bring some of that dark of her clavicle over. Just bring that kind of shadow down. And right here, just really beautiful. You would think that it's darker here, but it really isn't. So we'll just continue with this value. Sometimes the underpainting can get in the way, but that's something. Do I clear over the oils when I go back to Createx? Interesting. So basically what I do is I do a black and white underpainting in India ink, and then from there I erase all the pencil lines. Then I go in with Createx, Illustration, and Wicked. You can mix them both. Now before I do that, once I do the India ink underpainting, then I do a layer of shellac, and then it can accept many layers of oil. And then as I paint in oils, I won't go back to acrylic, because you can put oils over acrylic, but you can't do acrylic over oils. That would be horrible. So Once the painting is done in oils, then I will go ahead and I will varnish it after about a month or so of it being dry, and I'll use this Gamvar gloss. It really is great, and so I'll do a coat and then let that dry, do another coat, let that dry, probably maybe wait 3 days in between coats, and do it 3 times, and you just have this wonderful finish. And you know, it's protected, it's really great. So remember, you can do oils over acrylic, but you can never do acrylic over oils. It will be a disaster. Because the thing is, oils take years to really dry deep down, and then if you put acrylics on it, it's really going to start cracking. It's going to be really bad. So yeah, so that's basically that. And let's see, right here. Okay. So very cool. Great question, that's for sure. Now the great thing about oils is that you can always, always, always blend, you know? Uh, that's one of the real big, big things about working in oils is that it takes a long time for it to dry, so you have plenty of time to blend, which is really great. Okay, put this there, go back to our light color. Well, actually, probably our mid-tone color, right about here on the arm. Let's see. That might be a little dark, so we're going to go some lighter color here. Actually bring in the lighter flesh color brush. Bring this over. And bring this dark of the arm down. Now I love this because in this photograph there's a lot going on with aperture and the backgrounds being blurry and everything. That's really great. And here's another cool thing. I don't know if you've seen these fan brushes. So oil stays wet, right? So that's always a big advantage. So what we'll do is we can just blend this out, but we wipe it clean in between. And this is just the very first layer. There's going to be many layers down the line. It's kind of like sculpting wet clay. That's how I think of oils, you know? Now what I did last week is all dry, so I don't have to worry about that. And it's just totally stays wet because of the oils in there, you know? So, such an advantage. Now you got to decide, do you want to blend the darker color into the light or the lighter color into the dark? But you want to wipe your brush in between, because you don't want mud, right? So you want to make sure that your blends are clean. So you wipe in between, kind of rhymes, wipe in between to keep your blends clean. Now right here it's a little bit of a richer kind of flesh color. So I'm going to take my original color. I'm going to add a little bit of higher saturation. Let's see. So right here I want it to be a little more saturated. It might be exaggerated a little bit. That's okay. I can always desaturate later. And that is high saturation, so I went a little overboard, but you can always calm it down later. So I'm really liking the way that is, and I want to kind of pull in some of this light. I want her breast to be more three-dimensional. And you see how basically I'm just working back and forth. It's kind of like what I do in Airbrush, but kind of faster, right? A little faster paced. I'm not worried about 4011 or anything like that, or worrying about tip dry. This is just straight painting. And Bobby says, I would love to be able to paint a pic of your daughter like this. Well, you take my class, I'll make sure you'll be able to. That's for sure. I don't know if you've seen today the work that Juan Carlos did. Just incredible what he did. It's just so fantastic. Right here I can see it's a little hard edge, so let's soften this up here. See how I softened up that shoulder? And let's see, come in with this kind of beautiful mid-tone here. Yeah, it was really fantastic. So proud of Juan Carlos. All my students I'm proud of. And I'm going to come in just a moment. First I'm going to mix the color of her strap there. But I'm really happy with the way that the modeling of the shoulder is happening. You know, here we have the deltoid. With oils, you just have to be, oh, what oil paints? All over the place, different brands. Here's one brand that I love. I love their neutral grays by Williamsburg, which is a company in New York State. There was one guy who actually started making them, and then his company was bought out by Golden Acrylics, and these are oils which are great. I also like Winsor & Newton. Winsor & Newton is a great brand out of England. I really love this company out of Brooklyn. This is Utrecht, and Utrecht was a company since 1949, and great paint, very inexpensive but really high quality. and they were just bought out by Blick Art. So, and then I love this because this was like the first brand when I was a kid. When I was 14 years old, I had a job and I went and bought at the corner art store these Grumbacher, and I just love the smell of them. I mean, they're still like throwback. And then this brand, which is Michael Harding's an English guy, and he started making paints in his house, and his company grew, and these are very high end. So yeah, I mean, with oils you don't stick to one brand because every brand has colors that you like. So like for instance, there's this one company called Senoyer, and I love their color called Caput Mortem. They're from France. I love this color. And then there's a company out in Portland, Oregon, and these are M Graham, and they're mixed. Usually, uh, when a company makes oil paints, they usually do it with linseed oil, but these are interesting. They're done with walnut oil, and this color is fantastic because this color right here is a semi-opaque, and this called Caput Mortem, and this is a transparent version of it. So if ever I want to make things just a little bit red, I do that, and it just totally transparent, just great. So there's so many different brands that, you know, have some great colors, so you kind of mix and match. I've been oil painting since I was 14 years old, and I have been, so since I was 15, I have been training formally at 15 years old. So quite a head start when it comes to working in oils. So we have this kind of rich color here. I'm going to see if I could just kind of blend this out. I'll show you how I'm blending it out, which is pretty cool. See right there, I'm just going to kind of come right up to it, kind of mix in there. And then what I'll do is I'll come in with the dark, which is right here, and then I'll just kind of mix back and forth, kind of blend back and forth. But always with the 1 second rule, right? Very important. But like I say, the oil paint is, I mean, the airbrush in this technique is so important. So what you're learning in the airbrush will really help you to become amazing oil painters. And I want to open that up to the airbrush world. Not everyone wants to, but it's nice to have it opened up like that, you know? Open up the possibilities. And kind of bring that over. And then, you know, you're constantly kind of working back and forth, kind of blending in the colors. And the thing is, they stay wet for like 3 days, right? So you can definitely just really have fun with this. So right here around right behind around this flame, I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring in this color here, but I'm going to do something special. And I'll show you as I come over here. Oh yeah, it really is great. So you want to get yourself either a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, and they have that ability to zoom in, and it's really great. I mean, it has been great for teaching, you know, for the live streams. It's really amazing. great for teaching and showing people exactly, you know, what we're working on. But since I did the underpainting in Airbrush, it's so much easier. All my values and the local color is already there. And now I just come in and, you know, make it happen. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to add some of that really beautiful yellow color. So I'm going to come in with yellow a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of light gray. You wouldn't think light gray was, but our world is all grays, guys. So right where the flame goes right on the skin, the flame leaves an aura. And so we have to paint that aura. Now later, if it's not as yellow or golden as you want it to be, you can always glaze a transparent color over it, which is great. What I'm going to do is put this in, and then I will follow up with some blends. But pretty soon I'm going to come in and kind of start painting in the beautiful beautiful flame of the candle. We tend to want to put color where there is no color, and that's something that I teach my students is when it comes to color, don't be a cowboy, but value is something that we have to really watch out for, because value, we tend to go much lighter in value than we should. We'll come back. Let me get a clean rag. And where is okay? Okay, so we're just going to blend, blend, wipe, blend, blend, wipe, blend, blend, wipe, like that. You want to wipe because you don't want mud. You want to keep your colors clean. Okay, right here. Let's kind of give some life to this dark over here. This shadow here. And blend, blend, wipe, blend, blend, wipe. Keep your brushes clean. It's so important. Hey there, Mr. Bill. How's it going? So glad you're here. Thank you so much, my fellow Jersey artist. So always loving your work. I'm doing some flames inspired by your great work, so that is amazing. So always love the flames that Mr. Bill does. Just incredible. Oh my God. Really, really loving the flames that Bill does. So right now I'm going to come in with this flame here. Now you would not realize it, but there's a slight blue in that flame. So what I'm going to do is I am going to be mixing some white, and that's Utrecht white, and the slightest amount of like a cerulean blue. But let's see, I don't have a cerulean blue, so that's what I need to do. I need to run out and buy some cerulean blue, because although I don't like the color, I find the color comes up a lot. But I do have some French ultramarine, and I'll just put a little bit there. The reason why I like the French ultramarine by Winsor & Newton is that it's a fully transparent color, so it's pretty weak. So I'm just going to take the tiniest amount of it, and I'm going to, so you wouldn't think a candle would be blue, but the way heat works is that cool colors like white is actually, as it gets colder, cooler in color temperature means that it's actually hotter in regular temperature. I know, it's backwards. But that's where the kelvins are. So an orange flame is much cooler than a blue flame. So remember that. So that's really interesting. So now we are going to get a fresh brush, because anything will contaminate white, right? So let's see. I have this color here. And notice that with the little bit of blue in there, that really makes that just super powerful. And then, as Mr. Bill knows, that there's always an aura around that white flame. And since I'm here, I might as well put some of that blue flame over here. You can hardly see the blue, but it's there. And Brad, how's it going? Thank you so much. Brad, great to see you all the way from Manitoba. How are you, sir? So I just had a class, and Brad was in that class, so we went over color theory, and that was fantastic. That was the group class today. And as you can see, I'm hitting some of these really... Now, you would think that it's a yellow flame, but it really isn't. It really is this bluish white flame. And then it gets yellow as it goes towards the candle, of course. And then we're going to do a little aura around that. There we go. And there's a little bit of blue just as the base of the flame as it goes towards the actual candlestick. But I was kind of inspired to work tonight, and so I figured, why don't I just share what I'm doing, right, with you all. So, with my technique of mixing color, I can pretty much uh, nail the colors pretty quickly, which is really amazing. Okay, so now with here, there's a little bit of an orange, kind of yellowy orange aura that I want to pick up here. So let's see. Um, and I'll use kind of a light little bit of orange. Let's see how this goes. Right along here. Let me see if I can show you. See right here, I'm just going to hit this kind of aura there. And then since I have this color, it really gets washed out over here. And make sure, keep my brush clean. And right here, we have kind of this halo of warmth. I can come back in with see right here is, this is the deltoid, and then there's a little bit of this kind of glow coming down from her deltoid here. And now I'll kind of just blend, but you can see how that one candle flame really affects the whole lighting situation. Just blend that in, kind of back and forth. Right here, this goes up. And of course, you might mess up a little bit. That's what you need to do. Just come back in with the white and the blue. Actually, just bring this yellow on up a little bit. And if you kind of, lighten your pressure, just like digital art, lower the pressure, the lighter the application of paint. Kind of bring this kind of yellow into the shadow here. And then wipe and bring the shadow into the yellow. There we go. And it's all about the play of light and dark. Now right around here, which is very interesting, it's like that same kind of orangey color, but a little more on the darker side. Bring this over. Now there is a little bit of, see, what color would that be? So the candle, if I look at the inner side of the candle, it is actually very fascinating. It's like a beige. So I would mix that with a yellow-orange color, and let me do that. I know it's such a little area, but you do have to, compensate for that. So I'll get my palette knife and I'll get this kind of golden orange color. Let me see. And then I'll mix some, let's see, go right over here. It's a very light color. Let's make this happen. And see just how saturated it is. Oh, not too saturated, but not too grayed out either. Okay, I think I'm happy with that color. And let's go ahead and see if we could paint it. So right over here, we have this kind of wispy, kind of beige color. And I'll blend it in. I'll zoom in for you, see what I'm doing. And as you can see, I kind of have this beige color here. 1 second rule, we're never exempt from the 1 second rule. So now I have to kind of work in that background too. Now here, for that candle, I can actually mix this color with that bluish white that I had. And I can kind of get that, not as white as the candle, of course, as the flame. However, we can get a nice kind of color of the candle itself. And now we can come back in with this fan brush. Wipe it in between. Now I'm going to come in with that really nice white and just add some translucency to this candle. And you can see just how quickly you can kind of develop this. So now, since I'm working on that candle, as you can see, I'll zoom out. See how powerful the candle is right now? It's just this really beautiful, brilliant light. Okay, so let me bring a little bit more here. Now, let's say I want to make this yellow, a little more yellow down the line. I could come in and glaze that, and that would be just fine. But right now, what I want to do is I want to kind of pick the overall color of the background. But before I do that, I want to get these little, like, kind of aura of this flame here. And that's going to be that really pure white with a little bit of the ultramarine blue in there. Let's see. And Brad says, I think the India ink and then acrylic underpainting gives a huge advantage to get a spectacular result. At least it did for me. Definitely, it gives you added insight, more information. You know, the more you're prepared, the better it goes. Hey, Mr. Robert, how's it going, sir? I was hoping that my UK friends would show up at this time because although it's like painfully late here on the East Coast United States, you guys are in the middle of your day over there, right? Or is it in the morning, sir? So I'm so glad to see you, sir. It's so great. So right now I'm just going to be working on the order of these candles. So what I'm showing here, Robert, is how you can utilize your skills as an airbrush artist that you work so hard for and use that to have an incredible advantage over other oil painters because of this skill set that we all have working in airbrush. Now I kind of went backwards. I started as a as a oil painter back when I was a kid in New York. And so I'm really loving how the candle really translates. Okay, so you see I kind of went super bright with that. Now I'm going to come in with this kind of beige color of the candle. And right here it's much more yellow. So I'm actually, instead of that, I think I'm going to come in with a little bit of this color right here, which is raw sienna. And I'll take some of this raw sienna and kind of blend that with the white here. Get a little different look. It still needs more yellow. So, didn't want to use yellow, but sometimes you have to. And come back in with this. Oh yes, Brad, definitely. Your first oil painting was such a success. Definitely have to follow that with more success. Let's come back here. And then you could use, you don't need a blender brush per se. You can always use something else, just something with soft bristles. And it's an advantage because you can use something like a stable brush like this, and you can kind of get some beautiful blends. Which is a lot of fun. And, doing it with this as opposed to, let's say, a dedicated blender brush, like a fan brush, is that with the smaller one you can really get in there. Just kind of very softly. You wouldn't think, but this candle is so important to the whole mood of this. And what is the light of the candle? What's it doing, right? What's its MO? Its characteristics. And see, with oils, I can come in with thick oils and really do like impasto, right? With palette knife, I can do all kinds of really cool things that is super helpful. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually paint this brown that's here first, and then I'll kind of do the saturation. Or should I actually paint the saturation first? Let's see. What's my decision? What to do, what to do. Okay. So I'm actually going to paint the aura around the flame here first, and then I'm going to do the color of the background. So let's see. So this color, let me see if I already mixed this color before. It's very interesting. It's kind of a dull color, right? You would think the aura of the background is super dull. So what I'm going to do is start out with this kind of burnt sienna color, and we're going to add some gray to her. There we go. Okay. Now, we always mix with our palette knife, because you mix with the brush, the paint gets into the bristles and it's really gross. So, once again, we're going to take this gray and we are going to mix this kind of burnt sienna color, and let me see if I can actually get that burnt sienna color here. Let's see. Great thing about oils is you have lots of colors to choose from. So I am looking for burnt sienna. So I'm going to use this color right here, which is by Michael Harding, burnt sienna. It's kind of a rich burnt sienna. And I'm going to mix some orange with it. Let's see. Where's my palette knife? Here we go. So here's some burnt sienna with a little bit of orange, cadmium orange. Kind of get that color I'm looking for. And now I'm going to mix the gray, but once again I'm just going to double check, make sure that my percentages are great. So you want a percentage, right? It's all about percentages of what you mix. And if you take my class, you're going to learn about percentages. And it's all in the percentages. And I'm looking at that color. And that looks pretty darn good. Okay. Now, whoa, my brush almost rolled right onto my painting. That could have been bad. So now I'm going to pull in this color. And now what I want to do is kind of start painting this aura. I know it looks really, really dark right now, but that's only because maybe a little bit of yellow in there. Now as I put this, like I said, it looks kind of dark, but I haven't come in with the dark of the background. That's going to be really great around it. And then I'll kind of blend this out. So right now it looks like I'm kind of going crazy with this kind of burnt sienna grayed out color. But there's a method of my madness. If I'm wrong, I can always do it over. Right, guys? So that's cool. So now you see that, right? And I'm going to be looking at, where that aura is. So the aura is coming actually off the light of her arm. Okay, so you see how right now it's not really mixing well because, paint likes to mix on paint, right? So now my goal is to figure out what is the dark. How do I mix the dark of the table behind her? And believe it or not, there is almost like a naphthol red behind her. Naphthol red and almost black. So first thing, is look for Naphthol red. I love Naphthol red. It's very similar to Pyrrole red in the airbrush world. Now, where did Naphthol red go? Paint tends to hide on me, so it's not in this drawer, so it must be in the one below. There it is, Naphthol red, and this is a great color. Naphthol red light by Utrecht. They're not going to be making it soon, so. Love this color. Take care, Robert. It's been great to see you, and have a great day, and it's a pleasure to talk to you as always. Continue doing the wonderful painting that you are. Really loving your work. Okay, so we have that, and okay, so here's the plan. So I did devise a wonderful way of mixing colors, and I've been teaching my students it, and it's really revolutionary, and I'm so happy because I know it's going to help so many people. Now, like I said, when you mix the colors correctly, it looks like they're not correct, but they actually are. Okay, so this is the color of the background. And of course, remember, paint likes to go on paint, but it doesn't like going on a dry surface. So this initial application is not going to be fun. I don't mind turning a painting around so I can get a better angle of attack. Like I said, this is only the first layer, so there's going to be many layers to this painting. But the better you are, the quicker, the better your attack is, the less layers you'll need to do. So there you go. You see her shoulders really starting to pop now. And we'll bring this color down. Like I said, after we put this in, things will really start blending a lot more. I'm going to put a little more of that Naphthol red in here. You know what I'm not looking for? Cleaning all these brushes, like 10 brushes. That I'm not looking forward to. Ooh, that was a little too much. See, a little thing is, like, you know, you think you're going to raise the saturation a little bit, but you really got to skirt that kind of saturation. If it's too much saturation, it won't feel like it belongs. So you got to make sure you don't overdo it with saturation. And don't use black, right? You know, it's like you see something dark like that and the first thing you think is black, but don't, because 99 times out of 100 it isn't black. Okay, now comes the fun part, is we are going to come back with that really wonderful burnt sienna kind of color. We're going to start blending like crazy. Kind of working this back and forth. And when I come back in with that dark color, it's really going to sing. At least we hope. Okay, now we get this color here. And just and then I'm going to blend. And where's that sable brush? Here we go. Whoa, see, remember we had the white that we were using this sable brush, so let's wipe that. Still keep your 1 second rule going. Trying to reproduce that feeling of going to a restaurant, like one of those really cool French bistros, you know, like a romantic meal with your lady. So you see that burnt sienna, although it didn't look right at first, really is starting to look good now. Do I feel that oil painting is easier than airbrush? Yes, it is. But do I love oil painting? Yes. I love it a lot. Okay, so now we'll come in. So that is like a number 2 gray, so it isn't black, right? There's like 2 values before black. And then we can take our burnt sienna kind of color here. But like I said, if someone out there wants to learn how to pretty much nail the color every time, you should be taking my mentorship class. And it works for oils, watercolor, pastel, you name it, which is really great. So not bad. So now I have to come back in to her arm because I think I lost the contour. So let's make this happen. That's our lights. I'm looking for the brush that has our medium tone in. Let's see here. Come back into this kind of medium value here. Maybe a little bit deeper in color. Brad says the chat delay to when you're seeing it is about 10 minutes by the look of things. Oh my goodness. That's terrible. I gotta look into that. And let me come in with this light color. Where's my light color brush? Here we go. Remember that yellow color we were working with? A beautiful yellow kind of skin tone, which of course is not her skin tone, but the reflection of this candle. I think this particular video is going to go really far because I'm the only one that's really doing something like this. Letting airbrush artists know that they're natural oil painters, and no one's probably told them, but doesn't mean it's not correct. So as you can see, you know, in the beginning of the day, none of this was done, so we worked all of that, which is really fantastic. We got so much done. Blend this out. So right now I'm kind of doing a wet on wet technique, but when it dries I'm going to be doing scumbling and glazing, or maybe even just going wet on wet again, you know, depending. You know, you're not limited to anything when it comes to oil. Let me see how many people are in here. Let me see how many people are here. 3 people are in here. 23 views. Not bad. I mean, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, right? Come on. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with where this is now. I gotta go clean my brushes, but I'm very happy with what we have here. We're really getting the sense of a candlelight dinner, aren't we? And you know, working with, and you can see, you wouldn't think of using white with blue. Just the tiniest little bit of ultramarine blue really gives power to those candles. And so I'm very excited about it, and I'll continue doing this. And And every so often during the week, I'll kind of pop in and, so you can see them all together. So, Brad, thank you so much for hanging out. And Mr. Bobby, so good to see you. Thank you so much, Robert, for being here. Mr. Bill, and we had Mr. Paul was here earlier. So, do me a favor. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and it helps me realize that I should be making more of these oil painting videos for airbrush artists, and just encourages me. And so, everyone, I hope you have a great night. Who knows, I might be on again tomorrow, so you never know. So you won't know unless you hit the bell icon and subscribe. If you subscribe, whenever I have these pop in uh, live streams, you're going to be notified and you won't miss a thing. So take care, everybody. Always a